So if a guy's defending like that, they should be taught not to defend like that. Every time his hand comes out, it does this. And it's wrong. Just my opinion. I don't run the sport, but the sport, when is it going to change it? It's probably never going to change it.
What do you do to prepare for that? What do you do going forward when Dana White says the words, he doesn't give a shit?
What does it take to make an eye poke intentional? And is there even a way you could ever prove that?
Who the knows? Who gives a shit?
But it's an issue if the UFC want it to be an issue. There's nothing we can do about it. But this has highlighted at a high level in the sport that it's dangerous. If they want to do something about it, they should. If they care about people, they should. And it's back to everybody has opinions. Everybody needs money as well. It's about, I don't have to say what I say or do what I do to report back to shareholders to make money for a company. I do this because it's a sport. I want to do it with my son. I want to spend time with my kids. The other people who are doing it to report back to shareholders at the highest level because it's part of a company. And then they're doing it, most of the people online are doing it. The analysts, the ex-fighters, the YouTube makers are doing it because they make a video and that video makes them money. So it's about money. Then they're entitled to their opinion. But I don't read it and I don't care about it.
You said that you wanted a boxing champion.
Yeah, for sure.
You're okay with an MMA champion, but you wanted a boxing champion.
Boxing for sure. The money is...
More money.
Yeah.
More money. Why not?
Would that be an outcome for him? No.
He's 3 more fights on a contract now.
Okay. So,
And I don't want to sign a new contract.
okay.
Personally.
So that's why, because I asked him. He always talk about Stipe Miocic that had 3 defenses. Would he have 4? But he said no. It's not in my mind.
Yeah, no. Only one fight. We only ever think one fight. Ciryl, win, lose, next fight.
I'm excited to say Andy told me Tom will be a boxing champion by...
Tom Aspinall and his father Andy have just dropped the ultimate bombshell on the UFC. After the devastating eye poke controversy at UFC 321, the Aspinall camp has officially said enough is enough. What started as a safety concern has now exploded into a full-blown war of words with Dana White and the UFC brass. Andy Aspinall didn't hold back when he fired shots at the promotion, saying, quote, "It's about money. I don't have to say what I say or do what I do to report back to shareholders to make money for a company." And now, sources close to the camp are suggesting the unthinkable. Tom Aspinall may never fight in the UFC again.
And then the people who've got opinions, if they think they're right, then they're entitled to their opinion. But I don't read it and I don't care about it.
Shall we talk about the actual fight? Because obviously a lot of people have said that Tom was losing, Tom didn't want to continue.
We can go from the training first.
Yeah.
We train really hard and loads of cardio for this fight. And on the video that you made, you hear me and Stipe, who was holding pads for Tom all through the training camp, say, go out there, take your time and enjoy the fight. And Tom had gone 5 rounds, stood on his head. That wouldn't have been an issue doing 5 rounds.
Stay tuned as we break down everything that led to this nuclear moment, the health updates that have everyone worried, and what this means for the future of the heavyweight division. This is about to get crazy. But then, with just 25 seconds left in the first round, disaster struck. Gane's fingers went deep into both of Aspinall's eyes simultaneously. The British champion immediately signaled to the referee he couldn't see. The doctor checked him, and the fight was called a no contest.
Now, Tuesday.
We got an appointment yesterday morning to see an eye specialist yesterday. Basically did the same as the guy that we saw over there. Said, it's bad, it's not good, but his eye is a little bit more closed than it was. His right eye still can't see anything. He said it's just grey. Tested him on words and he just couldn't see anything. His left eye, 50%, he went down about 4 letters and then couldn't see the letters. So one's really blurry and one's still not working. His eye wasn't following properly, so the muscles weren't working strong enough to go this way. This one just wasn't working. The fight should have been stopped. He couldn't see.
The crowd booed, social media exploded. Some fans actually accused Aspinall of looking for a way out. But what they didn't know was just how serious this injury really was. Tom was rushed to the hospital in Abu Dhabi, where he underwent extensive testing. In a raw, emotional video posted to his YouTube channel hours later, Aspinall could barely open his right eye and was clearly in excruciating pain. He told Daniel Cormier, "What the hell is he doing? He'd already been warned twice. Then he did it again. How was he not disqualified?" But here's where it gets even more disturbing.
I saw Tom Aspinall. His right eye is covered in a bandage because he cannot open it still. We're 20 minutes past the fight ending. And what's crazy about that is his other eye was the one where his hand went knuckle deep. The right side was scraped down more. The left side was the one that went knuckle deep and really would have been hard to deal with if not for the pain he was seeing on the other side. Tom was very upset that people were booing. And then people saw the replay and were like, wait a minute, maybe we should be booing the other guy. Then they booed Ciryl Gane.
3 days after the fight, Andy Aspinall delivered an update that shocked everyone. Tom still couldn't see out of his right eye. Listen to this, quote, "His right eye, he still can't see anything. Said it's still just gray. They tested him on words and he just couldn't see anything. His left eye, 50%, went down about 4 letters and then couldn't see the letters. So one is really, really blurry and one's still not working."
His right eye still can't see anything. He said it's just grey. And they tested him on words and he just couldn't see anything. His left eye, 50%, he went down about 4 letters and then couldn't see the letters. So one's really, really blurry and one's still not working.
Let me repeat that. 3 days later, Tom Aspinall was functionally blind in one eye and had severely compromised vision in the other. The muscles in his left eye weren't following properly. He needed a CT scan to check if there was bone damage. Andy added, "His eye is a little bit more closed than it was. He's just in a foul mood. He's not in a happy place because he's mad that he didn't get to show what he thinks he can do."
First of all, Andy, the last time we saw Tom and yourself was Sunday morning in the hospital. Tom said to me that he needs more tests. What has happened since then? It's now Tuesday and we're sat at yours. Obviously, Tom's at home resting. What happened yesterday?
We got an appointment yesterday morning with a friend of ours who is one of the doctors from the UFC, and he got us a private appointment at Ciryl Hospital to see an eye specialist yesterday. He kind of basically did the same as the guy that we saw over there, said it's bad, it's not good, but his eye is a little bit more closed than it was.
Imagine training for 14 months, being in peak physical condition, finally getting your moment to shine on the biggest stage, and then having it all taken away in less than 5 minutes because someone's fingers went into your eyes. But Tom's physical pain was only part of the story. What his father said next is what's really causing chaos in the MMA community. This is where things get explosive. Andy Aspinall didn't just complain about the eye poke. He went full scorched earth on the UFC's entire safety system, and he dropped a conspiracy theory that no one else has dared to mention. Andy said eye pokes keep happening because the UFC does not make strict rules to stop them. It will never change unless the UFC wants to change it. If they care about people, they will do it. But most people online, analysts, ex-fighters, YouTubers, they make money from videos, so they talk for money. It's about money. He continued. The UFC will have fights of everyone on record. I just wonder if they have data of how many people poke people in the eyes or kick people in the groin, and the fight goes on. They get away with it. Mike Bisping, he lost his eye. He went on. Something needs doing about it. I'm not speaking for views or sponsors. I speak only for the safety of the sport, not for business.
So if a guy's defending like that, he should be taught not to defend like that. Every time his hand comes out, it does this. And it's wrong. It's just my opinion. I don't run the sport, but the sport, when is it going to change it? It's probably never going to change it.
What do you do to prepare for that? What do you do going forward when Dana White says the words, he doesn't give a shit?
What does it take to make an eye poke intentional? And is there even a way you could ever prove that?
Who the knows? Who gives a shit?
But it's an issue if the UFC want it to be an issue. There's nothing we can do about it. But this has highlighted at a high level in the sport that it's dangerous. If they want to do something about it, they should. If they care about people, they should. And it's back to everybody has opinions. Everybody needs money as well. It's about, I don't have to say what I say or do what I do to report back to shareholders to make money for a company. I do this because it's a sport. I want to do it with my son. I want to spend time with my kids. The other people who are doing it to report back to shareholders at the highest level because it's part of a company. And then they're doing it, most of the people online are doing it The analysts, the ex-fighters, the YouTube makers are doing it because they make a video and that video makes them money. So it's about money. Then they're entitled to their opinion. But I don't read it and I don't care about it.
And then came the kill shot. When asked about his son's future, Andy revealed, "Boxing for sure. More money, why not? He's got 3 more fights on his contract now, and I don't want to sign a new contract." Wait, did he just say he doesn't want his son to re-sign with the UFC? Oh, it gets even better.
Does Tom want to go into the boxing world and maybe fight a Tyson Fury, maybe fight a Deontay Wilder?
I don't know if he does, but I think if you get into that top percentage of the sport, the UFC do not pay anywhere near as much as the boxing does. And I know, being around Tom every day, that when he spars good boxers, he spars good. So I think he'd do really well against a real high-class boxer.
With Zuffa Boxing under Dana White's leadership, do you think there could be an eventual crossover where you get a massive super fight that could be on a Netflix?
It doesn't depend on me, that depends on Dana White. But I think Tom has the ability, because I've seen him box at the highest level against some real good guys, that he could be at that level.
Now, Dana White's response to all this drama? Quote, "Yeah, total pain in the aid. But yes, we'll book a rematch. It's unfortunate that it ended the way that it did. Gane had Tom bloodied up, and Tom didn't want to continue in the fight, so a rematch is very interesting."
Give us your reaction to the eye poke and how it all went out.
Great showing, shitty ending, you know? Looked like we were in for a few rounds and it was going to be a good fight.
It would seem obvious that a rematch is right on the card.
Total pain in the ass, but yes.
Have you got any medical update on Tom, or is it still too soon?
He's on his way to the hospital.
Did you catch that? Dana said Tom didn't want to continue. He's subtly implying Tom quit after being double eye poked and temporarily blinded. That comment? That was the final straw for the Aspinall camp. Andy fired back. "It's about money. I don't have to say what I say or do what I do to report back to shareholders to make money for a company."
My advice would always be choose another sport. Like me and you, we're in probably the 0.01% of people who have a good living for the family out of MMA. Like, you probably know better than I do that 95% of people have never made any money who do MMA. I was at a local show recently and I brought a friend of mine with me, and he was like, reading through the card, he's like, "Oh, who's good?" I was like, "Oh, I recognize this guy. I've seen this guy fight before. This guy's good, whatever." And he said, "How many of those people on the card will be able to buy a house from fighting?" And I was like, you know what? Probably none.
Yeah.
The UFC is sending a massive message that has the entire MMA world talking. Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane disaster at UFC 321. A championship fight that ended in chaos. A heavyweight champion who can't see. What the hell is going on? Tom Aspinall eats dinner with family and enjoys life with eye poke. Is the eye poke real, or drama the fare of losing the fight? Years ago, Tom Aspinall training partner Ante Delija did this eye poke drama, and his opponent wanted to continue and win the fight. Is this a legitimate injury, or is something else going on? The UFC seems to have their own opinion, and trust me, you're not going to believe what happens next. Stay tuned. Let's set the scene. UFC 321 in Abu Dhabi. Tom Aspinall, the British heavyweight champion, finally back in the octagon after 15 months away. His opponent, the dangerous French striker Ciryl Gane.
About as anticlimactic as it gets.
No contest, unintentional foul. No contest, unintentional foul. Yeah.
Jason Herzog calls it a no contest, which means Tom Aspinall will retain his title.
Hey.
My God.
It's an accident. Hey, come here.
Ciryl disappointed, and he was fighting a wonderful first round.
The fight barely gets started. We're towards the end of round 1 when boom, Gane throws a punch and his fingers go straight into both of Aspinall's eyes. A double eye poke that changes everything. Aspinall immediately stops. He tells the doctor he can't see. The referee calls it. No contest. Fight over. Championship retained by default.
That's tolerated with me.
Yeah, it just puts everything into perspective. Like, where we're going here, I can't see. Well, it's a dangerous sport, man.
You were saying it's scarier than what you did to your leg.
It's way scarier than what I did to my knee, because you know that the knee's just going to be all right, whereas your eye, still don't know how it's going to be.
Now here's where it gets interesting, folks. The crowd, they're booing. The fans online, they're divided. And Aspinall himself is in the octagon saying, quote, Guys, I just got poked knuckle deep in the eyeball. Why are you booing? I can't see.
Guys, I just got fucking poked knuckle deep in the eyeball. What the fuck? Why are you booing? What am I supposed to do about it? I didn't do the fucking poke. I can't see.
But the controversy doesn't end there, not even close. So what does the UFC do? Do they support their champion? Do they give him time to recover? Well, not exactly. Top UFC referee Herb Dean has just revealed that the organization is holding an emergency meeting specifically about this incident. And get this, it's happening on November 4th. They're discussing the eye poke situation, and according to Dean, quote, enough people are fed up. Something is going to be done.
Well, first of all, I think enough people are, fed up with the eye poke situation that something is going to be done. The thing with changing rules,
But here's the kicker. Dean also dropped a bombshell in his interview with Helen Yee Sports. He revealed that retired fighters have admitted to him that their eye pokes were intentional. Dean says, and I quote, once they've retired, they're telling me, oh yeah, that fight when you refereed me, that was intentional.
And these are guys who have, once they've retired, they're giving me, oh yeah, that fight when you refereed me, that was intentional when that happened. You know what I mean?
So now the question everyone's asking, is the UFC investigating Gane? Are they investigating Aspinall? What exactly is this meeting about? And fans are not holding back. Social media is exploding with theories. Some are calling for Gane to be disqualified. Others want him suspended. And then there's the group saying Aspinall quit because he was losing the round.
Wouldn't it be interesting if Tom came out and said, no, I'm not going to rematch him. He's a cheater. Why would I rematch a guy that already cheated, that violated not one of my eyes, but both? I gave him his chance. He chose to cheat, and I'm going to move on. If Tom took that stance, which he's not going to do, I'm saying, but for fun, I think he'd have a lot of people that supported him. For some reason, Ciryl has come out of this thing with his hands clean. He's the one that did the poking.
The UFC's silence on exactly WHO they're targeting with this meeting. That's sending a message all on its own. But wait, it gets even more suspicious. Because just 1 week after Aspinall's controversial ending, his training partner Ante Delia was involved in an identical situation. Delia is fighting Waldo Cortes Acosta. He lands a huge combo, his opponent goes down, Delia celebrates thinking he won. But the referee says, wait, that was an eye poke. Give Cortes time to recover. And what happens? Cortes recovers and knocks Delia out.
Someone in the eye. Was it a punch? I haven't seen Mark Smith wave his hands over his head. I'm going to say it over to Herb Dean, who's the review official. I want to turn the guys. Cortes Acosta, big right hand. Wow. Do you believe what just happened inside the UFC Apex? Knockout. Waldo.
Now Delia is furious. He's claiming the rules were broken, that replay was used illegally, that his opponent sat and relaxed while watching footage. He says, the sport hasn't seen this yet, so now people are connecting the dots. Aspinall's teammate involved in an eye poke controversy just days later, and then Cortes Acosta, the guy who beat Delia, calls out Aspinall saying, I am coming for you, and claims he only had 20% vision after the poke. Coincidence? The MMA community doesn't think so. Twitter is blowing up with conspiracy theories about Aspinall's training camp and their approach to eye pokes. Now, let's talk about the medical side, because this is where things get really controversial. Aspinall's father, Andy, gave an update days after the fight. He says Tom, quote, still can't see anything from his right eye. It's just gray. His left eye is 50% vision. Blurry, the muscles aren't working properly. They need CT scans to check if the bone is damaged.
They basically did the same as the guy that we saw over there. Said, it's bad, it's not good, but his eye is a little bit more closed than it was. His right eye still can't see anything. Said it's just grey. Tested him on words and he just couldn't see anything. His left eye, 50%, he went down about 4 letters and then couldn't see the letters. So one's really, really blurry and one's still not working. His eye wasn't following properly, so the muscles weren't working strong enough to go this way. This one just wasn't working. The fight should have been stopped. He couldn't see. If you commit a foul with an eye poke, the referee just says, don't do it. He could have lost his sight. Still not got his sight in one eye. We don't know, we're still waiting.
Sounds serious, right? But here's where the UFC and fans are divided. A doctor, Brian Sutterer, analyzed the footage and says the injury is 100% legitimate, and anyone claiming Aspinall faked it is spreading absolute, complete nonsense.
That he was trying to duck Gane and that he knew he was going to lose anyway, so he just claimed he couldn't see. Absolute, complete nonsense. There is nothing about what we saw here that should be regarded as him faking this or making this up. I don't care that one of his eyes was open during the interview. There is nothing about this that should be interpreted as him making an excuse or trying to get out of the fight.
But, and this is a big but, people are pointing out inconsistencies. Why was Aspinall able to open one eye during the Octagon interview? How come he could see well enough to argue with the referee? And here's the comparison that has everyone talking. Back in 2019, Jeremy Stephens got a 180-day suspension after an eye poke from Yair Rodriguez. But Stephens got cleared by an ophthalmologist and was back fighting in less than a month. So is Aspinall's injury really that much worse? Or is this about something else entirely? The UFC's planned meeting suggests they might be asking the same questions. Here's where the controversy reaches its peak. The UFC is now looking at a potential massive suspension for Tom Aspinall. We're talking possibly 180 days. That's 6 months on the sidelines. Henry Cejudo got an indefinite suspension earlier this year for an eye injury. He couldn't fight until cleared by an ophthalmologist.
Name someone who won 2 world titles and a gold medal in the Olympics in wrestling and did it all in the most technical of divisions.
I'm not saying I'm the best fighter in the world because I'm not, man. I would even put Demetrius Johnson like in front of me, even though I do have a win over him. I wasn't the best wrestler, even though I was an Olympic champion. But when you collaborate both of my accolades that I've done in sports, that's where the greatest combat athlete of all time comes.
Dana White said they want to book the rematch as soon as possible, potentially for the new Paramount deal in January or for UFC 323 in December. But if this suspension comes through, those plans are dead. And here's the message the UFC is really sending. Whether Aspinall's injury is legitimate or not, they're not going to let this situation slide. The emergency meeting, the talk of rule changes, the potential suspension, it's all adding up to one thing. The UFC is making an example out of this situation.
There's no boxing.
UFC.
Hey man, what is UFC? It's martial arts, right?
Yeah, in a cage.
Include like this?
No, that's illegal.
That's illegal, right?
Yes.
Not supposed to do that.
When Dana White was in here, he didn't seem over the moon about the idea of you fighting at heavyweight.
I don't know. There's still fights here in this division, but we'll see. I mean,
if you could send a message to him, I'm sure you'll have meetings and stuff. But what would your pitch be to move up to heavyweight?
Não precisa. A gente teve conversa lá atrás.
No need. We already talked backstage.
What did he say?
O que ele falou?
Segredo.
It's a secret.
I think at 38 years old, he does have the time to go to heavyweight because, as we know, those guys do have a longer career. So I think when you've got Carlos Ulberg there, who's on an 8 or 9 fight win streak, who's knocking people out the way that he has, I would like to see that. A guy that's as big as him, that's as tall as him, that on paper has the kickboxing credentials to be able to challenge him. You know, that'd be a fun fight to see. I mean, let's be honest, Carlos Ulberg deserves it. Yuri Prochazka, we love Yuri, right? There's not a man alive that watches this sport that isn't obsessed with Yuri Prochazka, and I would love to see him get a third matchup. And we're going to talk about his fight with Khalil in a little bit. But after what I saw versus Khalil, I don't want to throw him in against Pereira just now. He's fought him twice. It's hard to get a third fight against the guy. We did see a lot of openings. We did see a lot of typical Yuri madness, but I don't think it would have got to the third round or the closing minutes of the fight with Alex Pereira, so let Yuri do his full crazy stuff. I think the next fight is Carlos Ulberg, and then, yeah, by all means, let the man go up to heavyweight. He said that he wanted John Jones. He did a little interview last night after the fight. He said he doesn't want the winner of Ciryl Gane and Aspinall. He wants John Jones at the White House.
Alex Pereira drops the massive bombshell message on Dana, and he made it clear. I want a UFC heavyweight fight with Jon Jones. He said Alex Pereira says that he spoke with Dana White backstage about his desire to move up to the heavyweight division. We already talked backstage. It's a secret. Is he exposing his truth and also dealing with UFC? Can Jon Jones be back in the UFC White House?
Most probable matchup next. You got Carlos Ulberg, you got Yuri Prochazka. You also have heavyweight.
Heavyweight.
Well, we got Aspinall and Ciryl Gane.
No, I want a super fight.
Jon Jones at the White House.
We've both done a lot in the sport, and I feel like even if he were to lose to me, he's still the greatest of all time. Essa é a melhor aposta?
Não, queria super luta.
No, I want a super fight.
Oh, super fight at heavyweight.
I can think of one.
Wow,
name.
Derek Lewis.
It's Aspinall, man.
Bom, não sei se, pô, Casa Branca, Jon Jones.
Jon
seria uma
Jones.
super luta.
At the White House.
Jon Jones. That's
okay.
a super fight.
All right, so he's...
If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because today we're diving into the biggest story in MMA right now. Alex Pereira just confirmed secret negotiations with Dana White about a heavyweight move, and Jon Jones is the target. Let's break down everything you need to know.
Ui, essa aí, meu irmão. Porra, aqui por dentro e o outro fora. Tava esperto ali. Pode estar por dentro. Entendeu? Mas tá movimentando, foi difícil. Aí parou, chutei. Essa aí já foi uma. Agora, de novo, ó. Oi! Aí já sentiu legal. Porque uma sentiu mesmo, lá. Aí agora quando eu chutar a terceira, já vai virar, já virou. Aí trocou. Aí eu chutei, ó, pegou só um pontinho no pé, ó, tá vendo? Bem, não, pô, pegou aqui, ó, galera.
O Ali falou assim.
Aí, eu vou te falar que quebrou as duas costelas ali, né? Sai que nem o Alessandro assim agora, ó.
Fresh off his devastating 80-second knockout of Magomed Ankalaev at UFC 320 to reclaim the light heavyweight championship, Alex Pereira dropped a quote that has the entire MMA world talking. When asked about moving to heavyweight, Poatan revealed, "We already talked backstage. It's a secret."
Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira for the BMF at heavyweight. Yes, I said it. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. You want to have an American headline in White House. You want to do it with the greatest of all time. John's not going to fight Tom Aspinall. That's fine. Alex Pereira's been calling this fight. He's a bigger name than Tom Aspinall. And what he was able to do to Magomed Ankalaev, I remember talking to John, and John was like, dude, I just want super fights. Maybe you can have Tom as a co-main against somebody, against Francis Ngannou. You know, Francis is about to become a free agent.
I like that you heard that today, Henry. Every star you have are saying, yes, I want to fight. And I haven't said it yet, Dana, but you know, you want to call me, yeah, I'm down too.
The UFC's probably going to go the route of Pereira and Jones, and I'm not mad at that either.
This isn't speculation anymore, folks. Pereira is confirming that he and Dana White have had private discussions about a heavyweight move. But here's where the story gets even more interesting. During his post-fight interview with Joe Rogan, Pereira had a completely different plan. At the post-fight press conference, he admitted, "With all the respect, I was going to ask for Jon Jones at the White House. But with everything that has happened, it's not the right time to talk about it."
It sounded like maybe before everything happened with Jon Jones in his personal life, you were maybe planning a call out of him.
Você falou que é uma super luta, isso seria o campeão do Aspinall contra o Ciryl Gane, ou apesar de tudo que aconteceu com o Jon Jones, esse era o plano, era pedir o Jon Jones?
Bom, só vou falar aqui uma vez só na pergunta dele, não quero mais falar sobre isso, né, com todo o respeito do Jon Jones, tudo que aconteceu. Pô, não quero que depois... tem muitas pessoas aqui, eu já falei isso lá atrás, né, falei, pô, pelo amor de Deus, tô falando com todo o respeito e gostaria que vocês me respeitassem também. Mas sim, esse era o meu plano, né, de estar chamando o Jon Jones, de estar lutando na Casa Branca, né, mas com tudo que aconteceu, eu tenho que tomar cuidado como que eu falo, né, então eu peço, pelo amor de Deus, que vocês não criem caso com isso.
I'll answer his question and I'll answer this subject one time, and you know, I with all the respect I have for the situation, and I've said this in the back, you know, a lot of people try to create a lot of stuff around this, so again, please, with all the respect, I was gonna ask for Jon Jones in the White House, but with everything that happened, it's not the right time to talk about it.
Pereira was referring to the tragic passing of Jon Jones's brother, Arthur Jones, just days before UFC 320. Instead of making his planned call-out, Pereira showed incredible class by calling for a moment of silence. That gesture of respect even prompted Jon Jones to break his social media silence, tweeting, "Wow, Alex." So what do we know now? Pereira has been planning this heavyweight move. He's targeting Jon Jones specifically, and most importantly, he's already in negotiations with Dana White behind closed doors. The question becomes, what exactly are they discussing, and is this deal going to happen?
If you did go to heavyweight, we're seeing now a lot that the champions have to vacate their belt when they're moving up. Are you willing to part ways with that title if you go to heavyweight?
Você indo para o peso pesado, a gente está vendo que os campeões que mudam de categoria estão tendo que deixar o cinturão vago. Você está disposto a fazer isso?
Não, acho que não é necessário. Todo mundo sabe a frequência que eu luto, então isso não vai ser problema.
I don't think that's needed. Everyone knows how often I fight, so that's not going to be an issue.
When Dana White was in here, he didn't seem over the moon about the idea of you fighting at heavyweight. If you could send a message to him, I'm sure you'll have meetings and stuff, but what would your pitch be to move up to heavyweight?
Quando o Dana estava aqui, ele não parecia tão empolgado com essa ideia, né? Mas se você pudesse mandar um recado, claro que você vai ter uma reunião, mas se puder mandar um recado para o Dana.
Não precisa. A gente já teve conversa lá atrás.
No need. We already talked backstage.
What did he say?
O que ele falou?
Segredo.
It's a secret.
Now, let's talk about the massive elephant in the room. The UFC White House card scheduled for June 2026. This isn't just another fight night. This is being positioned as the most historic card in UFC history, celebrating America's 250th birthday on President Trump's birthday. Dana White has promised the biggest fights ever assembled for this event, and fighters across the entire roster are desperate to be on this card. Jon Jones himself came out of retirement after this event was announced. That tells you everything about the magnitude of this moment.
But you know what's the most important? 250 years is the most important, above World Cup, above Olympic. But we got them all coming. And on June 14th, next year, we're going to have a big UFC fight at the White House, right at the White House, on the grounds of the White House.
The White House timeline also works perfectly for both fighters. It gives Pereira time to heal from the suspected broken foot he suffered during the Ankalaev fight, and it gives Jones ample preparation time, which could be crucial. According to AI Fight predictions, with full preparation time for the White House card, Jones would have a significantly better chance of winning compared to a quick turnaround fight. The pieces are all on the board. The question is whether Dana White will put them together.
Why not fight against Pereira, a guy who's the same age as you, and we walk around the same exact size? Pereira walks around at like 240, and he has magnificent accolades. Business-wise, it makes more sense. Fight the nobody that may be more dangerous, or fight the guy with all the accolades, who's incredibly dangerous.
But here's the complication. Dana White isn't fully sold on this fight, at least not publicly. After UFC 320, Dana made his position clear. While I'm not against him moving up, I believe there are still compelling fights for him at 205 pounds. Dana has legitimate concerns that can't be ignored. First, there's the size difference. Dana has repeatedly stated that Jon Jones is simply a much bigger man than Pereira. Jones could never make 185 pounds like Pereira did in his middleweight days. Even though both fight around light heavyweight, Jones walks around significantly heavier and carries more mass at heavyweight.
What is your hesitation about him going up to heavyweight? He's mentioned it a few times in the past. He always wanted that Jon Jones fight, and I understand why maybe that fight wasn't appealing to you, but what is your reservations about sending him to heavyweight at this point?
Probably that he was a middleweight. He was a middleweight. He's going to jump up 2 weight classes in the UFC. It's not like jumping up 2 weight classes in boxing. It's a big jump. Not that I have any reservations about it. I mean, the guy is he's in a division that there's still some interesting fights. I don't know. It's just I like the guy so much. We'll see. We'll have to talk about it. I just don't see why, unless he wants to retire, why throwing him in at heavyweight makes any sense. Other than I just end up saying he wants to do it so bad, I'll just say yes. I don't know.
Second, there's the light heavyweight division to consider. Carlos Ulberg is waiting as the clear #1 contender. The UFC has invested in building that storyline. Does Pereira just abandon the division after one defense? But Pereira has a strong counterargument. When asked if he'd need to vacate, he responded, "I don't think that's needed. Everyone knows how often I fight, so that's not going to be an issue." And he's absolutely right. Pereira fights more frequently than almost any champion in modern UFC history. He's defended titles, moved divisions, and stayed incredibly active throughout his entire UFC run.
Alex, right here. I know you said you're interested in a super fight. Can you elaborate on that? Is it the winner of Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane? Or it sounded like maybe before everything happened with John Jones in his personal life, you were maybe planning a call out of him.
I'll answer his question and I'll answer this subject one time. And, you know, I with all due respect, with all the respect I have for the situation, and I've said this in the back, you know, a lot of people try to create a lot of stuff around this. So again, please, with all the respect, I was going to ask for John Jones in the White House, but with everything that happened, it's not the right time to talk about it.